Hey everyone, welcome to the G-Force section of the Technology Museum here at IIT ROPAR. So our theme is clothing and wearables, something all of us are pretty particular about today. So before Barney got his boots and designer shoes, what did we actually have and how did we get here? Okay, so enough of How I Met Your Mother references, let's get to the issue here. So we, from our own knowledge, have divided the entire history into 5 segments and the people online seem to agree with us. So yeah, go us. So these 5 segments are Ancient, First Civilization, Pre-Industrial Revolution, Industrial Revolution and After, and the last is the Modern Times. So let us get to the first division. So the first segment is Ancient. As all of you would have an idea that here we're talking about the hunter-gatherers and the early farmers who wore animal hides and leaves as clothes. The reduction of hair on our body in comparison to other mammal counterparts came with the fact that we as a race started wearing clothes to protect us from heat and cold. So what were the technologies that came about? Well, not much if we consider the advancements today. Although we did have the new needle to sew the hides and leaves together with plant stems used to bind them. All this went for a fairly long time until humans started organizing themselves and started living in colonies, which brings us to our second segment. So the second segment is the first civilizations. So now man had started living in colonies. Along with that came the etiquette of dressing. Here as examples, we'll talk about 2 different civilizations, Romans and the Delhi Sultanate. Romans had clothing like the toga, which was the distinctive national garment of the Roman male citizen, but it was heavy and impractical, worn mainly for conducting political business and religious rites and for going to court, while the common garment was a simple sleeved tunic, which came in a lot of varieties for people engaged in different occupations. While in Delhi, we had a lot of different types of clothing thanks to the fusion of the ancient Hindu with the foreign Mughal culture. The Maharajas wore turbans along with top-coat tunics according to their preferences. A kaftan or a traditional overcoat was also worn by the people during this period. As far as the technologies are concerned, we can certainly confirm that the practice of weaving and knitting was certainly known in this period and were often done by very simple machines which then evolved into looms. The process of dyeing and culturing of cotton and sheep for wool were common practices during this period. Silk also came into the picture later with the exports that came in from the east. The third segment is the pre-industrialization era. This was the era which saw the birth of some of the greatest inventions outlining the history of clothing, like the power loom, the spinning jenny, the water frame, and the most famous thing of all, the sewing machine. The power loom plays a big role in the story of evolution, as it was the major force which reduced the production time and labor involved, and thus was one of the biggest factors behind the availability of a variety of clothes at affordable prices. The spinning jenny is a multi-spindle spinning frame, while the water frame is a water-powered spinning frame designed for the production of the cotton thread. We don't think the sewing machine needs any introduction, so let's move on to something more interesting. So there's this event which catches the eye in any historical picture of this era, the French Revolution. From the perspective of wearables and clothing, it can be termed as the age of strictest simplicity. Everybody wanted to look like a commoner. Women's clothes became simpler, flamboyance was done away with for a little while. It became a subject of satire. Men's costume had become more practical. Clean, simple cuts of jackets and trousers came into fashion. Pantaloons worn by common men became the fashion statement of the day. The fourth segment is Industrial Revolution and After. The fourth timeline is often called the late modern period, with the Cartwright loom, the spinning mule, and the Boulton and Watt steam engine. The pieces were in place to build a mechanized, woven fabric textile industry. From this point, there were no new inventions, but a continuous improvement in technology as the mill owner strove to reduce cost and improve quality. Developments in the transport infrastructure, that is, the canals, and after 1831, the railways, facilitated the import of raw materials and the export of finished cloth. Walter Hunt invented the lock-stitch sewing machine, but dissatisfied with its function, did not patent it. The Lancashire loom was a semi-automatic power loom invented in 1842. This period also saw many other great inventions like that of lace, dye, and viscose. So the last segment is the contemporary age. It refers to today's time when the major innovation in the clothing sphere have been in the materials we use to make the fabric. We have synthetic fibers today like nylon, rayon, polyester, etc., often inheriting the desired properties from the parent natural fiber they are made from and have a few other properties to make them much more useful. 3D printing is another major invention made in this era, which is well and truly capable of making designs which were never thought of. Other inventions include smart clothing, which have sensors built in to gauge pulse, breathing rate, and other vitals of the person. Hence, the progress we have made in clothing is immense. Clothing is not simply a piece of cloth wrapped around the body now. It pertains to so much more in today's time and has a fascinating history. Thank you so much for watching.